I grew up in a pastor's home, so grew up around church. And my parents worked real hard to make sure that the ministry wasn't just my dad's job and my dad's ministry, but it was just kind of ours. And so the first church my dad was in was a smaller church of just a couple hundred people. But I mean, my mom did student ministry or middle school, or I guess they probably called it junior high back then. And so she pulled my sister and I into that. And so we thought we were leaders, and it was our church and it was our youth group and everything was ours. And so we just kind of grew up that way. And so for Ruth and I, it's very much our ministry together. And so involving her in it, staying close that way, but also realizing, again, if my marriage isn't right and my relationship with Ruth isn't right, nothing else is right either. And at a lunch probably about a week ago with a couple of pastors, and one guy was just struggling in his marriage and saying, I'm not sure how things are working or if they're going to work out, and just kind of had to talk and say, you know what, again, if your marriage goes down, even though right now your church probably is your mistress. Interesting, the conversation that we're having, he said that his wife had even said to him, it feels like church is more important than I am. And so some of the advice he got around the table were all directed at what she could do to kind of change her perspective. And finally I just said, it sounds to me like, as I listened to you talk and based on what your wife said to you, she's right. The church really is more important to you. And so I don't know that she's the one that needs to change. It maybe means you need to look at what you're doing and realize that if you want church to be successful, then you'd better work on your marriage first, make that successful, and then the church part can come along with it. But sometimes we get that inversed and go the wrong direction. So, but that's a challenge. That's tough.